Canadians love their cars, and car dealerships love Canadians. The average new car in Canada costs $67,000 in 2026. The average Canadian household income is around $90,000. That means most people are financing cars worth nearly their entire annual salary and calling it normal. It's not normal, and it's quietly wrecking a lot of people's finances. There's a simple rule that most financial advisors agree on: your car should cost no more than 15 to 20% of your gross annual income. At $60,000 a year, that's a $9,000 to $12,000 car. At $80,000, that's $12,000 to $16,000. At $100,000, that's $15,000 to $20,000. Most Canadians are spending 2 to 3 times that amount and financing the rest over 8 years. A $50,000 car financed over 7 years at 7% interest costs you about $750 a month just for the payment. Add insurance, average $2,400 a year in Ontario, or $200 a month. Gas, $150 to $200 a month. Maintenance, $100 a month. You're looking at $1,200 to $1,250 a month for a single car. Before parking. Before anything. $1,200 a month is $14,400 a year. Over the 7-year loan period, that's over $100,000 spent on a car that's now worth $25,000. If you had invested that $1,200 a month for 7 years at 8% return instead, you'd have $130,000. A car doesn't just cost what you paid for it, it costs everything that money could have become. New cars lose roughly 20% of their value the moment you drive off the lot. By year 3, a car that cost $50,000 is worth around $28,000 to $32,000. By year 5, around $20,000 to $24,000. You are financing a rapidly shrinking asset. The loan doesn't shrink as fast as the value does, which means for the first few years, you often owe more than the car is worth. That's called being underwater, and most Canadians don't know it's happening to them. Let's go by income bracket. At $40,000 to $55,000 a year in Canada, take-home is roughly $2,800 to $3,800 a month after tax. At this income, your entire transportation budget, car payment, insurance, gas, maintenance, should not exceed $400 to $500 a month total. That means a used car in the $8,000 to $12,000 range, paid cash or financed short-term. A $35,000 SUV on this salary is a financial emergency in slow motion. At $55,000 to $75,000, take home around $3,500 to $4,800 a month, reasonable car budget, $500 to $700 a month total for all transportation costs. That supports a car in the $15,000 to $22,000 range, used or certified pre-owned. A reliable Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla, or Mazda 3. This is where most Canadians at this income are buying $45,000 trucks. That's where it starts to hurt. Canada has one of the highest rates of truck and SUV ownership in the world. The Ford F-150 has been the best-selling vehicle in Canada for over 20 straight years. The average F-150 costs $65,000 to $80,000 new. At $70,000 a year income, that truck costs nearly your entire gross salary. The monthly payment alone on a financed F-150 is $900 to $1,100. Add insurance at $250 a month for a truck. That's $1,200 to $1,400 a month in transportation on a $70,000 salary. At $75,000 to $100,000, take home around $4,800 to $6,200 a month. Transportation budget, $700 to $900 a month total. This supports a car in the $22,000 to $35,000 range, a new Honda Civic, Toyota RAV4, or Mazda CX-5. At this income, a financed car in the $40,000 to $50,000 range is stretching it. You can technically afford the payment, but you're crowding out savings, TFSA contributions, and your emergency fund to do it. At $100,000 to $150,000, take home roughly $6,200 to $8,500 a month. This is where a $40,000 to $55,000 car starts to make financial sense. If you're otherwise maxing your TFSA and RRSP and have no high interest debt. The key word is if. Most Canadians at this income level are not maxing their accounts first. They're buying the car, then wondering why they can't build savings. The car didn't cause the problem. The order of operations did. At $150,000 and above, a $60,000 to $80,000 car is within range, only if the financial foundation is solid first. TFSA maxed, RRSP contributing. emergency fund intact. At this income, a luxury car is affordable, but a $90,000 car on a $150,000 salary is still over 60% of gross income, and that will always slow you down. Insurance in Canada is brutal, and most people don't factor it in when they shop. A 25-year-old driving a new $50,000 SUV in Toronto can pay $4,000 to $6,000 a year in insurance. That's $400 to $500 a month on top of the loan payment. A used 2019 Honda Civic, $1,400 to $1,800 a year in the same city. The car you buy determines your insurance rate. Always get a quote before you buy. The single best financial decision most Canadians can make when buying a car is buying used. 2 to 4 years old, low mileage, certified pre-owned. You let someone else absorb the 20% first-year depreciation hit. You get a car that's still under factory warranty. In many cases, you pay meaningfully less, and you free up hundreds of dollars a month that can go toward your actual financial goals. The only people who benefit from buying new are dealers and lenders. Canadian lenders now routinely offer 7- and 8-year car loans to make the monthly payments look affordable. A $60,000 truck at 7% over 8 years, $800 a month. Same truck over 4 years, $1,400 a month. Most people choose the $800 option because it fits in the budget. But over 8 years at 7%, you pay roughly $17,000 in interest. Over 4 years, you pay around $9,000. The longer loan costs you an extra $8,000 just to make the payment feel manageable. This is the most common justification for overspending on a vehicle. I need it for work, and sometimes it's completely valid. If you're a contractor, a tradesperson, or drive for work regularly, a truck makes sense. But most Canadians who say they need a truck for work use it to commute to an office 5 days a week and take it camping twice a year. A truck for 2 camping trips costs you $15,000 to $20,000 extra over a sedan. That's an expensive camping decision. If you're currently in a car loan that's hurting your finances, you have options. Sell the car and pay off the loan even if you take a small loss. It hurts once. A bad car loan hurts every month for years. Buy something reliable and cheap in cash. Refinance to a shorter term if rates allow. Or simply stop buying more car than you need when this one is paid off. The best time to fix a car mistake is when the current loan ends. The second best time is now. Before you buy any car, ask yourself one question. If I took the monthly payment I'm about to commit to and invested it instead for 10 years, what would it be worth? $700 a month for 10 years at 8%? $128,000? That's not an argument to never buy a car. You need transportation. But it puts the real cost in front of you before you sign. Here's the simple formula. Take your gross annual salary, multiply by 15%, that's your maximum car budget. At $60,000, $9,000, at $80,000, $12,000. At $100,000, $15,000. At $120,000, $18,000. At $150,000, $22,500. Most of those numbers feel uncomfortably low because Canadians have normalized spending 3 to 4 times that amount on cars. The discomfort is the point. You can afford a car that costs 15 to 20% of your gross annual income, bought used, insured reasonably, maintained properly. Everything above that is a choice, not a necessity. Sometimes it's the right choice, but make it with the real numbers in front of you, not the monthly payment the dealer shows you. Your car should get you where you're going. It shouldn't be the reason you can't get anywhere financially. Canada has great cars, expensive insurance, brutal winters, and a lot of really long loan terms. Know the math before you sign anything. Subscribe to Loonie Logic for 1 Canadian money video every week.